Hey, sweet peas, I am back. It has been a while, about a month since I've been here. But if you recall what my banner says, it says videos whenever I can. And so I couldn't, and now I can. And so here I am back with a video, still learning and still evolving through this stage, but willing to continue the journey and continue the process. So, first off, thanks to all of you who have liked and subscribed to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dixie Nichols, and I tap into the expansiveness and the wholeness of well aging. So, what have I been up to? The second to last video I shared with you was about death and experiencing loss and grief, and I had been to 3 funerals. Well, Thursday, I'm going to my seventh funeral, and then Friday, I'm going to my eighth funeral. Just to know that life is lifing and sending love to all of you out there who are experiencing loss, to people close to you, people who you know, right? Sending love, sending love, sending love. So, on to today's conversation. At 54, one of the things that I am very cognizant of is the fact that I am almost certain that I have more years behind me than I do in front of me. And with that comes the realization that I need to amplify the care that I give to myself. A client nicknamed me a self care connoisseur years ago, and I took that name because I liked it. And so, as a self care connoisseur, I ask myself all the time, what do I need to do to support my well being? How do I need to change the things that I do to accommodate my body, where it is now, and what it's experiencing biologically, i.e., menopause? It took me a while to learn to nourish my body in a different way than I used to prior to menopause. And that's because we're so comfortable with the things that we do sometimes, even when it comes to our health and wellness. And even when it comes to nourishing our bodies, we tend to stay in this safe zone and we kind of tiptoe around moving and flowing to what we know our bodies need based on where we are in life. So that took a little while, kind of like empty nesting. It took me a while to get used to being home alone and children not being here. The same thing happened with my nutrition, my nourishment, my sustenance. It took me a while to release some of the things that were not working for me and embrace new things that work for me in my current situation, in my current state of being, and in my current well being journey. So, right now, top of mind for me is vitality if I'm blessed with longevity. So a lot of my attention now has been going toward making decisions around my existence, around my body, my mind, my spirit that supports vitality if I'm blessed with longevity. And I always say that because none of us are guaranteed long life. I can go out on the road this evening and something happens and that's it. None of us can be guaranteed the next moment, the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, the next 10 years, the next 40 years, whatever. We are doing the best that we can with the hopes that we are granted long life because that's the goal, right? Growing old is the goal. And I want to grow old. And with that comes a lot. And part of what my mind is focusing on right now are the things that I need to do to maintain vitality when I get older. And so for me, vitality looks like the examples that I have in my life. Case in point, my grandmother, who is 91 years old, she'll be 92 years old in August. And she walks around, she bakes. Every 2 weeks, she makes like 10 loaves of bread and she shares it with family members and members of the community. She cleans her house and she is fairly independent. And there are quite a bit of nonagenarians, because that's what you call people who are in their 90s, nonagenarians. And you have the octogenarians who are in their 80s, and then you have the centenarians in their hundreds. So there are quite a bit of people who are nonagenarians who are very independent, active, and living fully independent lives. Now, again, I don't know how much time my grandma has left. I don't know how much time I have left. You know, she can outlive me. She could outlive other members of my family. In fact, one of the persons she outlived was a cousin who we buried 3 weeks ago, and she was in her early 60s. So she's been blessed with longevity. But the most important part of that is that she also has vitality. And that's my goal as I grow old: longevity and vitality. So let's talk about what that looks like for me, or what my perspective of longevity accompanied by vitality looks like. A few years ago, I wrote this blog. I've been following the work of the Blue Zones, and I find that their philosophies resonate with me. And now I just want to preface by saying that I know the Blue Zones is nothing new. In fact, I wrote another blog that says it's something borrowed and blue, right? Blue Zones. And they simply went looking for places around the world that supports life to 100. And they identified these patterns within these different countries and called them the Blue Zones. So if you look here on this side, these are the Blue Zones identified by Dan Buettner. Now, it resonates with me. The Blue Zone living resonates with me because I witnessed it. I lived it. I grew up in the Caribbean in a Seventh-day Adventist community. Now, I'm not Seventh-day Adventist. I'm not of any religion, but I grew up in a Seventh-day Adventist community. My grandmother is Seventh-day Adventist, and I had a wonderful time being a part of the Seventh-day Adventist community, going to church. The church was our community, a big part of the community. And it kept us grounded and together and really operated as a tight-knit community. My grandmother, I think, of course, not I think, I know, unbeknownst to her, lived this lifestyle. Hence the reason she's 91. Hence the reason she is a nonagenarian, because a lot of what Dan Buettner identified in these communities that he called Blue Zones, I saw my grandmother and her friends, whom we call the Three Musketeers, lived into their 90s. And I saw them living this way. And our lifestyle was sort of modeled around some of these ways of living. So what I did was I pulled from the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine. And what they found was that there are factors that contributes to people living to be centenarians, living 100 plus years and having longevity and vitality. So there are 9 tips. And again, I chose this because I resonate deeply with these tips, because it's what I lived, it's what I saw my grandmother living, and it's what she still lives to this day. And part of me keeps telling myself, if I do these things and I'm blessed with longevity, then I will be given vitality. Who knows? All I can do is try, right? But I want to share these tips with you. So here it goes. Tip number 1, they move naturally. And so what does that mean? They don't go to the gym, fancy gyms, paid gym memberships. They move around the house. So they water their plants, they tend to their gardens, they plant, they do housework and house chores. They cook, they clean, they take care of children or grandchildren. If they work, they go to work, and at their jobs, they walk around and they move their bodies. So it's a natural movement and nothing forced, right? No strenuous exercises. It's natural movement every single day. My grandmother does that every single day. She wakes up in the morning, she gets breakfast, she has chores that she does, she winds down at the end of the day, she does her prayers, which she does in the morning as well, prayers in the evening. So she has these rituals, and she goes to bed early and gets quite a number of hours of sleep. So these are the things that she's doing every single day, right? Working and moving her body in a natural way without strenuous exercise. They have purpose. And I just kind of mentioned some of the things that my grandmother does. And those are some of the things that fall under purpose for her. So she wakes up so that she can tend to her garden, or so that she can tend to the cleaning, and the maintenance of her household so she can go bake her bread so that she can share with her family members and neighbors so that she can do whatever it is that she knows she needs to do, whether it's volunteer work, whether she's going to the church to do something, whatever it is, she has a purpose every single day. So she wakes up and she follows her daily rituals. She gets her jobs, her tasks, whatever it is she needs to get done, she gets it done throughout the day. And her purpose, of course, has changed over the years. So early on in my life and in my mother's life, it was taking care of the children because my grandmother doesn't have past elementary school education. And she was a young mother with lots of children and then grandchildren. So she spent most of her time at home. She did have temporary jobs with the government here and there, but most of her life, her job was at home. Well, not most of her life, most of her children's young life and grandchildren's younger lives were in her home. And so she spent time taking care of the household and managing the household. And so that meant a set of chores that needed to be done every single day. And she had these rituals: wake up, do the work, wind down in the evening, sleep, repeat. And she did a great job of that. She made so many sacrifices in her life, but her purpose really was to take care of her family, take care of her children, take care of her grandchildren. She even took care of nieces and nephews. She was a caretaker. And again, like I said, she made sacrifices for the purpose of taking care of others. And yes, I know she left herself undone caring for others and not doing the things that she wanted to do. I wanted to say that because it's important to recognize that she sacrificed herself and her life and the life that she wanted for others. But nonetheless, while she was doing it, that was her purpose. The third thing is that they downshift. What does that mean? It means that they have rituals and restorative practices. Yes, I'm like a ritual queen. And my grandmother, I saw her ritual every single day. She had daily rituals and she had weekly rituals. And she had monthly rituals and she had seasonal rituals. She had rituals, as we all do. We all have rituals, right? Daily, weekly, monthly, annually. So my grandmother's rituals were, again, she woke up in the morning. When my grandfather was alive, she'd cook him breakfast, make his coffee. She would make breakfast for the family, feed us, and then she would start doing her chores. But before all of that, as she woke up, she would go to her prayer. So prayer has always been a grounding ritual for her. So she prayed in the morning as soon as she woke up, and then she set forth doing her chores. And then in the evening time, she wound down and she prayed again, cleaned up, and got herself ready for rest. So the rituals I'm talking about here, the rituals were really her prayer in the morning and even the preparation of the breakfast for people. People don't see those things as rituals, but they are because she did it with care and with love, knowing that she was providing a meal for herself and for her family. But the restorative rituals, the restorative ones, not the energy draining ones like the preparation of the meals, but the ones that restored her energy and grounded and rooted her, was definitely first and foremost her prayer, which she did in the morning and in the evening, and then she rested in the evening. And then another weekly ritual that she abides by to this day is the Sabbath. So she recognizes the Sabbath every Saturday from sundown until sun up. She is not doing anything for anybody. She's not cooking. She's not cleaning. She does nothing. It is her rest day. And so I grew up seeing my grandmother having a ritual of rest one day because she worked hard every other day. Sundays was a day to cook, and we had a big Sunday meal. She didn't do as much work on Sundays, but Saturdays was the do nothing day. And that is restorative. That is a restorative ritual. She slept early. So by 7 o'clock, my grandmother was in her bed and she was up by like 5 o'clock the next day. And so that was huge. And it's a huge part of centenarian lifestyle: rest, restorative rest, and rituals. And so they call that the downshift. The next, which is the fourth, is to follow the 80% rule. And this one is really simple. The smallest and last meal is in the evening. That was us. Like, it was so funny. My grandmother would, of course, we had our breakfast, and then lunch was always the biggest meal. And then dinner was always the smallest meal. And back in those days, it was like some Milo, which was like hot cocoa, and some crackers. We called it cricks, and cheese, and that filled us up. We were happy with it. Or some bread and some melted cheese. Or she would bake outside in the outside oven. She would do bakes and saltfish, or she would fry the bakes. But we had a meal. It wasn't huge. It was enough to fill us and take us through the night as we were resting. So we saw that example of the smallest meal in the evening. Didn't know then that this was something that they were going to do a study about. And she still does that. Her smallest meal is at 5:30 in the evening, which is also her last meal. Centenarians have a sense of belonging. That's number 5, to a faith-based community. I don't even need to talk much about this because I explained that she is a Seventh-day Adventist, and she is very active to this day in her church. The church is a community. The village church members come together. They worship together. They help each other. They support each other. When one member is in need, the whole community gets together and they help as much as possible. So they've created a community through their faith-based church. And one of the blue zones that have the most centenarians, people who live to be more than 100, is in Loma Linda, California. And that's the Loma Linda Seventh-day Adventist community. Again, they are big on rest. They are big on community. We're not getting into the politics of religion here. We're just talking about things that they do that helps to support their well-being. Number 6, they are in the right communities. Now that's important, right? So for my grandmother, growing up, I saw her be a part of this Seventh-day Adventist community, and then she had her friend community. Now, our little community had several communities within it. There were lots of other communities that she didn't feel connected to, that didn't resonate with her. And she found the right community with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. That became her community. It's her community to this day. That became the place where she went to restore. It became her sanctuary, her safe haven. She made friends there. They mingled there. They bonded there. They helped each other there. And that was her community. That was the community that aligned with what she wanted in her life. And it's a message to all of us. We all need to find communities that resonate with our morals or ideals in life. We all need to find communities that we feel connected to. We feel a sense of belonging within. And that's different for everybody. So I have communities that I'm a part of, and each of the communities that I am a part of, I feel a sense of belonging, and I feel a sense of care, and I feel a sense of support. And so she found her community where she felt supported, she felt encouraged, she felt seen, she felt heard, she felt a sense of well-being. And then number 7, loved ones first. That means parents and children care for one another. How big is this? I mean, we live in a world that's very different. The world I live in now is very different. It's very much individual, as opposed to the world that I lived in, which was very much community-based, community-centered. It was not about me, and my nuclear family. It was about my nuclear family and my extended family and even the village family. So it was blood and covenant really being a part of a community. And so parents cared for their children, like my grandmother cared for her children. She had 11 children, 9 lived, and my uncle is also deceased. So she's got 8 living children now. She cared for all of her children. And then she cared for grandchildren. Me being her first grandchild, she cared for me and my siblings and many more. She cared for my cousins, her sister's children. She cared for so many people. And guess what? In return, her children have cared for her. Her grandchildren cared for her. And let me just even rephrase that. Her children care for her and her grandchildren care for her because it's present tense. We're still doing it. It's in the now. We still care for my grandmother. My mother cares for her mom. Her other children takes care of her. She is well cared for, well supported, well loved, and that's because we were loved and we're still loved by her. We are still supported by her and she still cares about us. And so that is shown and demonstrated to her on a daily basis. She has my cousin who lives with her and cares for her, him and his wife, because guess what? That's what she deserves. She's earned that. She deserves it. And she's able to grow older with dignity and with pride and independence. So she lives upstairs. She's got a nice house and she lives upstairs. And my cousin lives downstairs. So there's someone there who can keep an eye on her and make sure that she's okay. She doesn't need anyone to help her do anything, but just in case, she's got all the help and support that she needs. And not just with her blood relatives, but also with members of the community who take care of her, like the ones who go out fishing and bring her back fresh fish so she can cook, and the ones who bring her eggs or some ground provisions like some yams or some bananas, green bananas, or some plantains. She's well cared for. And this is because loved ones first. And remember, your loved ones don't always have to be blood. It could be people of the covenant, right? It could be chosen. Okay. Number 8, plant slant. All right. They eat lots of beans. So people who tend to live to be centenarians live longer lives and even, mature nonagenarians, and I would say younger nonagenarians like my grandmother, eat lots of beans. Beans is a staple in their household. We ate beans all the time. And I think mainly it was because it was cheaper and my grandmother was constantly budgeting with all those children she had. She had to make do with the money she had. And so beans was a staple in our household. So Sundays was reserved for red beans. And then during the week, we would have black eyed peas, we would have string beans, we would have lentils, split peas, black beans. I mean, you name it. Peas and beans were such a huge part of our lives. And even now, I absolutely love beans and peas. Didn't know we were doing a thing for ourselves. She didn't know it was just what was available, and she made use of it. And then last but not least, drink wine. Now, and not any kind of wine. Sardinian, I don't even know how to say this. I am not a wine drinker. I do not drink wine and I do not drink any type of alcohol. And this is the one area where I cannot say my grandmother partook. She did not partake in wine drinking only when there was communion. So during communion, there was wine, but it wasn't an alcoholic wine. It was a Welch's grape wine that they were given during communions. I think communions happened when they got their feet washed and they ate a piece of bread and drink some wine. It was grape wine that was given to the members of the congregation. I remember having some friends who were baptized and they would sneak me a little bit of the wine, and it was always yummy tasting, this grape wine, Welch's grape wine. And so Sardinian wine, obviously, this particular brand is one of the best wines to drink because in Sardinia, there are quite a number of centenarians, people who live to be 100 plus years old, and they are healthy and independent, vital people. And so having an occasional glass of wine can add vitality to your longevity. So these are the things that I grew up experiencing with my grandmother, who is a 91-year-old nonagenarian. God bless her soul. I was privileged enough to be a part of this lifestyle. She lives right off the ocean, right off the Caribbean Sea. We look out and see the turtles coming in during turtle season. We can see the ships go by. It's a beautiful place to be. Lots of fresh Caribbean air blowing through. lots of greenery around the house, lots of beautiful nature to enjoy. So that's where my mind is at these days. Well, aging, growing older, longevity, and vitality. And I love that for me. And I love that for the people in my circle. I love that for the people in my community because we get to have conversations that are important for us. And if we're granted longevity, we get to have tools and some knowledge and access to the things that we need to do in order to grow older as healthily and as vital as possible. So, yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Dixie Lincoln Nichols, and I believe in the wholeness and the expansiveness of well being. If you like what you hear and it resonates with you, please like and subscribe. This is a journey for me. It's new. I am just like throwing spaghetti on the wall right now. But what I am not going to do is give up on being here and creating this space and this pod, an extension of my Pause Pod community onto this platform. I love it. I love the nature of it and the fact that you can have a little corner where you can form a community. So if this is something that you want to be a part of and you want to be a part of my evolution, because this is a whole journey for me. And I know I'm going to evolve in beautiful ways. I'm going to blossom in beautiful ways right here in front of you. Yes, you can still blossom at 54. Then come along, hop on for the ride, and let's see where we go. Thank you again. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye.